Hi, my name is Brooke Marshall. I'm the entertainment specialist here at the USO, and here's your orientation briefing for the entertainment department. What do we do? On average, we send out between 60 and 70 tours a year. That translates to be between 500 and 600 individual events on tour, and an event could be anything from shaking hands, signing autographs, in the case of musicians, having a performance. They like to sit down, eat meals, have a tour of the local USO, that sort of thing. Really anything could be an event, just whatever is interacting with the troops and their families. We have many different categories of tours. The first one is Move Your Premiere, and that is where a studio will contact us and say, we want to have a showing of a film on your base. Normally this is something that is currently in theaters. Occasionally we will get things in advance. The most recent one of these was when Robert Downey Jr., Ben Stiller, and Jack Black went to a base in California for a premiere screening of Tropic Thunder. Hospital visits are when celebrities will go to visit troops and their families at Walter Reed or Bethesda Naval. Occasionally we will have people go to the burn unit in San Antonio. Sometimes when the celebrities are in the area for commercial reasons or for personal reasons, they'll just call us up and ask us to schedule something that works in with their personal schedule. Or sometimes when we have the tours that originate out of DC, we will bring them in a day early to build in a day to go to the hospitals. Rap and track shows are when we send out rap artists or artists that will sing along with a pre-recorded music track. These shows are really great for when we have acts that are going out to FOBs, or the more remote locations where you can't necessarily take a full band. A great example of this is when the group Naughty by Nature went out, and they had already done their performances for the day, but they were judging a karaoke contest at the base they were staying at in the Persian Gulf, and they had an impromptu concert because they could just literally plug in an iPod and have a show. So those are really great from the production standpoint, that you don't have a lot of gear to carry around. Comedy tours are when we send comedians out. Normally that'll be 3 or 4 comedians, sometimes one headline comedian like Craig Ferguson, and then an opening act. Handshake tours are when we send out celebrities that maybe aren't necessarily singers. These are great for athletes, actors and actresses, just anyone who literally goes out and shakes hands and signs autographs. A senior military leadership tour is when the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, the vice chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, or the sergeant major of the Army will do their morale tours, which they always do anywhere from 1 to 3 times a year, and they'll ask us to come along and bring some celebrities. This is great because not only do we get to go to locations we normally wouldn't get to go to because of the dedicated airlift that the military leadership always has, but it's on their schedule. We just hop a ride and show up. The other great thing about the senior military leadership tours are, again, because we're not flying commercially, we can hit a lot more areas in fewer amount of time. The vice chairman went out in 2008 for his Thanksgiving tour, and we called it the Around the World in 8 Days tour because we hit 8 different countries in 8 days. Education tours are when celebrities will go out to talk to school children at family bases, at military schools, about alternative careers. Like Anna Kournikova goes and talks about following your dream and about how she became the tennis star that she is. Trevor Romaine goes out and talks to kids about dealing with deployed parents. The premier, I guess I would say, education tour we have going right now is for Sesame Street. They have a Sesame Street live show, which is when they have their performers in costumes like Elmo and Cookie Monster, but this show is specifically written for children with deployed parents. And they'll talk to the kids about, what to do when your mom and dad are gone. It's okay to be sad. It's okay to miss them. I believe within the show, Elmo has a cousin overseas. This tour started in 2008, and we toured the United States with it. And then in 2009, we went through Asia with Korea and Guam and Japan. Also in 2009, we hit up most of Europe Hawaii, and Alaska. And in 2010, in the late spring, we will be doing our second leg of the U.S. tour. Acoustic tours are when an artist will go out essentially unplugged. Really just the artist, a guitarist, maybe a backup singer, but just a really small show that can go out to the more remote locations. Sometimes in conjunction with acoustic shows, we will have what we call big band shows. That is where essentially the troops will see a concert that is comparable to anything you would see in the United States and in a big arena show. A great example of how we combine the two is when Toby Keith will go out. He'll spend the day fob hopping, and he'll hit 3 different fobs with his acoustic show, which will just be himself and 2 other people. But then that night, when they return to the larger base, he'll do a full show with all of his backup musicians and all of his backup crew, all the lights, all the sound, again, like you would see in the States. How long is a tour? A tour can be anything from a one-day event, like we had a one-day event at Fort Hood, to a 7 to 12-day tour, which is what you generally think of with the USO tour, making multiple stops in multiple countries. We will go anywhere in the world where there are service members, both here and overseas. All events are open to anyone with a military ID card for military families, and we always take our tours to military installations versus civilian arenas.